Hey, before we get to the show, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to Kravet Inc. for sponsoring the podcast. I want you to know that it's time to discover luxury for less with Kravet Furniture's popular upholstery trio, the Jazz, Porter, and Taylor. Now with improved pricing and faster production times, these stylish frames are available with a 6-week turnaround. Can you imagine furniture in 6 weeks? Kravet's exceptional service combined with great pricing makes them the perfect choice for your next interior design project. Go to kravet.com to learn more and sign up for your design trade account today. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today, we have another episode of Overheard, where I gather 2, 3, 4 experts and we kick around a single topic. And today's topic is we're talking about websites. You know, your website is your calling card. It is your portfolio. It is the place that potential clients go to not only make sure that you are a legitimate interior designer, but you are the person who does what you say you do. When they see you in social or anywhere else, and then they come across, they want to go to the website to confirm what they think they've learned about you, right? Now, the thing is, and the tragedy is, that so many interior designers are still going wrong with their websites. Part of the problem, I know, is a resistance to investing your money in a good website. Because with so many templates and tools and AI options out there, it's tempting to do it yourself. But I'm 1,000% sure that you would tell a client just because there's an internet doesn't mean you know how to make a beautiful room, wouldn't you? Right? Here's the thing. A good website isn't a nice to have. It's a must to have. And the problem with doing it yourself, especially on a must have, is that you might not do it right. There are so many pieces involved, the layout, the design, the SEO, the copywriting. And when your website isn't doing what it needs to do, which is attract potential consumers and then convert them once they're there, when you don't know what you're doing, it's really hard to start fixing the problem. This is why I gathered some of the brightest minds in website and marketing in our industry. All 3 of these experts help you create professional websites. Each of them can do that for you, but today we're talking about, with each of them, about a distinct zone of genius that each brings to the table. Nicole Heymer of Glory and Brand. This lady has designed every single website we have. Luann Nigara Inc., WindowWorks in Livingston, ExcitingWindows.biz, the originals, the redos, the refreshes, all of it. And Nicole is going to kick off the episode by breaking down the must-haves for luxury website design and user experience. And then we have Deb Mitchell of Deb Mitchell Company. She's going to lean into achieving clarity in your brand messaging and help you say what you mean in a way that connects with your ideal client. And then finally, we have Ebony Looney of Make Me Over Ebony. And Ebony's going to round out the conversation with powerful, practical insights on SEO and content marketing that doesn't make your head spin, but gets results. Each of these women has also already been a solo guest on the podcast before, and you'll want to definitely follow up by listening to each of their episodes, and we will put those links in the show notes. Today is your crash course in building a website that reflects your brand, speaks to your client, and actually attracts new business. So excited to bring this conversation to you. Well, ladies, I am so delighted to welcome you to this episode of Overheard. Thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, Luann, this is Ebony. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hi, Luann, it's Deb. I'm so excited to chat with you guys today.
And it's Nicole. Hello, nice to see you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, the energy just went right down into the basement compared to the pre-air conversation, right?
We're being all formal now.
There they are. Come on, girls. Come on. Yeah, that's exactly how it was. And then all of a sudden it was like you said, oh, hello. Thank you. Okay. All right. Well, we can
all
do
of a sudden
it
we're
that
like
way.
British.
Okay. It's okay.
That's it. All right. Now that I got you back where I want you, okay? I'm super excited about this conversation. You guys are three of the people in my world that I happen to know have superpowers in these lanes that we're going to talk about. And the first thing I feel like, Nicole, I want you to set us up. When we think about, interior designers and like how many people come to you, they have a great portfolio, all the things, but they're like, what the heck? And then you take one look at the website and you're just like, that's the problem, right? Like, what are some of the things that go through your mind that you instantly can like just parse through and say, these are some of the, the portfolio isn't doing it. What's the problem?
I guess in to start with, it's really two categories. It's two buckets, right? It is a question of number one, is the website not converting? So is the traffic that's arriving on the website not converting? Is the website itself not effective? And we can talk about a million ways, and we will talk about, I'm assuming, a million ways that can happen. And then the second question is the right traffic not being sent to the website. So sometimes, and I'm sure we can all relate to this, you look at an existing website and you're like, yeah, this actually is in decent shape. Maybe like the messaging is not clear or this or that, or, it's not trustworthy or like whatever is the issue, but maybe it just needs a little bit of a tweak, but there's just no traffic being sent to it, or the wrong traffic is being sent to it. So for example, let's say we have someone who's blogging, an interior designer who's blogging, and they are ranking really well for like 5 best white coastal paint colors. And they're trying to attract, full service interior design clients. That would be the wrong traffic. Those people who are searching for that do not belong on their website. So oops.
Yeah.
So really it's those two things. We have to think about them separately, and we have to make sure they're both being addressed or everything breaks.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you mentioned that, because I had an on-air strategy session with Melissa Fields one time, and it was crazy. Nicole, I don't know if you listened to that episode, but all three of you should listen to it, because I literally channeled you guys, right? Like, so she writes a question. She's like, oh, I'm in business X amount of years and I'm doing good work and I have a good portfolio. And I just feel like, I want to do full service luxury design. And every single client at some point is like, yeah, not that much, or I don't want that, or I didn't think it was this. And I knew nothing about this person. I get this question. I look at her website, and here, like, as it was like one sentence is like, I am your person. I'm making up words, but the sentiment, I have your person to handle all the details. You're busy. Go do you. Second paragraph, if you love a collaborative approach to interior design, then blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, girl, see, I want the first thing. I don't want to play design with you in the second thing. You know what I mean? And it was crazy, because there were like 5 or 6 places all throughout the website where the copywriter was talking about this collaborative, we do it together approach, blah, blah, blah. And then in real time, as she's pushing back clients and saying, we don't shop together. This isn't a me and you go to the internet thing. And then people were disconnecting and disengaging their agreements. I'm like, well, that's because you keep saying I got vanilla ice cream, but you keep serving chocolate.
Stop
like,
marketing
what are you doing?
and then being sad about it. Be people want it. Yeah, I see that a lot. I'm sure we all see it a lot in the services as well. Like when you're like, I want high end, I want upscale, full service clients, and then you've got like 75 services, and they're like paint consultations and color
Yes.
and blah blah blah, and like it's all conflicting with each other.
Yes. Yeah. That's the thing. So in your lane, and we're talking about the branding and the brand discovery that you have to go through as a business owner in order to create this copy that resonates. But that's the thing. It's so funny because I decided to do these on-air strategy sessions. This is like inside voice between us and 10,000 designers. I'm just going to reveal. But what happened was I was sort of like, geez, this could be a little hairy. Like, you're just going to get this question. You're just going to answer it like in public. And the show could be edited. But I mean, what's the point if it's not real? Like that's like fake TV. We have enough of that in the world, right? But I was like, I wonder what this is going to be like. This could be crazy. And it's turning out to be almost the easiest thing I've done, because literally I think it's just so hard to see what we're putting out there objectively, right?
Yeah. You need another set of eyes. This is Ebony. You always need, every service provider needs another set of eyes to look at their stuff, because it sounds good to you. And but then like you said, you're like, this doesn't make sense. It's not what the client wants.
Yeah. It's just, what it is it's what Nicole was saying is, we want to do a certain thing, but we say we do 20 things. And then, like you said, okay, so you're upset that your marketing worked, right? Like, you told everybody I would do a paint consult, I would do this. And of course, we always talk about, you could have the pages available, but not public, right? Like, if you just need to make dollar bills and you're going to okay, I'm going to take a couple of designer for a day for the next 3 months just to get some bills paid. Let's keep it rolling. I'm all about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, make an exception on the sales call.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're now saying good people, good synergy, wrong budget, match. However, I think I could get in and get her done and move on, right? Maybe eventually you have an idea that they might turn into, they might turn into a full service down the road or something. Okay. So the first thing that you're saying, Nicole, is that, we have to look to see if the website is not converting, or if the converting is there, but it's attracting the wrong people. So what would you say? So is this typically a brand discovery problem, Nicole, that the person doesn't have clarity first? You find that when you are working with designers and window treatment professionals and doing their websites, that, they're really just trying to throw the spaghetti and track everybody, and they haven't narrowed down who they are and how they do it?
It's like Ebony said, it can be hard to have clarity around this stuff until you take a second, get out of your, running on a treadmill business life for just a few hours to just figure these things out, the messaging, etc. But yeah, I would say it is common for us that there are problems on both sides with that. There's a lot of, beautiful website, or want to build a beautiful website, and then a little shaky on how we're going to drive traffic to it. Yeah. A little unsure of that, and it doesn't happen by itself. And then there are also questions, like a common mistake that I see would be like not knowing what goes into marketing and what goes into branding. So for example, if let's say you've got a designer who's like, I work really well with like single female professionals, right? That, at least in my opinion, does not belong in your copywriting. That is not a branding thing. You're not going to be like, hi, single professionals are us. It comes off as like corny AF. That is marketing. That is you build a website that will attract those people and convert them, but you go find their watering holes and you drive the traffic of those people. You find those people and you send them to your website. I think that can be something that it can be a little, it's something that you have to clarify in your head as a business owner.
Okay. So follow up to that. So am I hearing, because of course we do have lots of people, I've read 19 gabillion about you pages in 9.5 years. Okay. We do have a lot of people based on, I would have to say, not just the greater realization of the world in general of how important branding and storytelling has become over the years. But I know I've had 16,000 conversations here for your Fred Burns only and all of the things. So you're saying your website copy, your branding and messaging on your website copy isn't going to say, I serve this clientele, because people are doing that. They are doing that.
I'm saying that we have to make calculated decisions around what we demonstrate and what we say. So
1000%.
like, for example, like if we're like, I am so fun to work with, right? To say that out loud, you know,
maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like a little uncool to say that out loud. So, but that's something that you demonstrate. You know, you show it in the brand voice, you show it on video, and then as far as like who the target client is, so yes, it is a really, I would say, a matter of going and finding those people and making sure that you're driving them to the website. Sometimes you might say, we work with busy professionals, and here's why it's great to work. Like, here's how our process is great for that, you know? Right. But this is something that, you know, like I wouldn't make like a hardcore statement about like this, in this case you say it, and in this case it's traffic, and in this case it's demonstration. But I'm just saying, I think that it's something we have to think about.
Gotcha. It's interesting because I think, you know, when you just said I'm fun to work with, it's like, I'm wondering if you're thinking of yourself, because you are fun to work with.
Ew.
No, and I'm going to say, I'll never forget. It was like 5 or 6 years ago when I got your first, I don't know if it was a 404. It wouldn't have been a 404 message, or maybe it was. Maybe you were describing to me the effective use of a 404 that's staying in your brand. Or it was either that, or it was a message that I got when it was like maybe a holiday and you were closed. And I literally, when the message popped up, however you worded it, I literally did the spit your coffee out. Like, I was just like, that is about the funniest thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? As opposed
what did
to,
it say?
I don't know. I don't remember. It was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, I didn't say that word, but that just reminded me of, like, I remember thinking, well, that's so Nicole. She's so flipping funny. But that's what you're describing now. It's like, don't say Nicole's funny. Be funny. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
All the way through your messaging.
Whoever you are. Yes.
Yeah,
Whatever,
all the way through. So whatever it is. And like, you had it all the way down to the away message, the 404 message, all of the things. And so
demonstration. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Now, we're going to move into brand messaging. Okay. Once we establish brand, these couple of tips here on, you know, that stuff. But before I go there and I pick that apart, I just have to say, Nicole, tell us a little bit about, like, this is my pet peeve. I love designers, you know, that I truly do love them and respect them, and there's not enough money to pay me to do a designer's job one time, like not one project. No
Complicated.
way. I'd be like, no, I will be poor and live on the streets before I do it. No, I will work in McDonald's. It's okay. You know, it's
They're
just
amazing.
yeah. I mean, having done just one lane of it, the window treatment component, it's like, ugh, like, right? But they're amazing at it. I love them. I have compassion for their passion. But you know, the thing that I find, and I'm sure all three of you ladies find this, you know, they'll go build their own website. And it's like, oh, you see, you don't think your client should design their own room and do their own floor pan. But
snaps
you know,
on that.
Yeah, but you'll go out and you'll build your own website. And I'm just like, literally, you know, I don't know, build your own toolbox, but not your website. It's your calling card for the entire world. So in your experience, Nicole, what do you find are some of the, like, oh, somebody just went, oh my God, I built my own website. Is that bad? What are the highlights of what you find that typically happens when somebody does do their own website that maybe they don't even know, they just really ding themselves, you know?
So I guess, first of all, like, umbrella sort of statement, a website, any touch point, right? But a website has to be as well branded and upscale and trustworthy and beautiful as anything else your target client is buying. So if your target client is super like if you're targeting 1%ers, my friend, your website has to be very special, or at least,
Amen.
yes. Like it has to just be at the same level. It doesn't mean that it has to be like, like a bunch of bells and whistles or whatever we're thinking. It has to just be like at that same level. So things that, it's really just about establishing trust in the end, all of this ahead of time, before the first conversation. Yes. Because any designer will tell you when there is trust established, the project goes well from start to finish, always. So no broken links. Like if you rebrand and you just build a new website, oh my goodness, please redirect your old domain name to your new one so people aren't just encountering something broken. It has to be fast. And then when it comes to design, it really comes down to, and this is kind of a boring answer, but best practices around graphic design. So, and these are the things that make the human brain feel good, when they look at them. So lots of white space feels high end. I was just talking on the Wingnut Social podcast about this. Like I feel like it's about how print, like white space used to cost money, and now like on the website it doesn't, but it still feels like it does. But yeah, so lots of white space, and then use of grid. And this is something I talk about regularly, and it's so bland to talk about it. But if you're like, imagine a layout of a website, if things are sort of like fakakta, like here's this and this is here and that's there. It all has to just line up pixel by pixel, because that just feels good to the brain. And in general, last thing I'll say, we keep up with what's going on with luxury branding in the world because we have to, because what feels modern in 2025 is different than what felt modern in 2022. So it's really like we can get specific, but it evolves, and little things like, the immersive image with the top navigation that's directly on the image with no bar might feel a little more modern right now, like little stuff like that these things are not required, but they are levers that we can pull to make something feel more upscale.
Yeah. It's funny because the one tip in there was the grid, right? Like when we look at a website as garden variety humans, we don't see a grid. We just see a website. Right. You see a grid, and you've built enough websites for me that I've seen the wireframe that I know we've got a grid going. And I think when you know it, you see it. But I think the point that I'm hearing from you is, it's a subconscious perception when you get to a website that if it doesn't feel like I want to keep paging through it, one of those reasons why could be it's not built in this grid format. And to me, that's the same thing as, like, I've had feng shui experts on the show, and even just regular designers that don't specialize in it. They're just like, they can walk into a room and be like, well, no wonder you're not happy in this room. No wonder your kid's throwing a fit every day. The whole room energy is off, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love feng shui experts and all the stuff they talk. Yeah, that's the thing. If we're doing this right, no visitor is going to think about the fact that the fonts are timeless. No visitor is going to think about the grid. They're not going to notice one single tiny bit of this. No. It's not about them noticing it.
No, that's it. It's a subconscious thing. Love it. Okay. So we're going to go in and out of the topics, branding and then messaging, and then eventually we're going to get into the SEO. But moving into some of the branding, the messaging section now, Deb, once we've got a business that has done a good brand discovery and has some clarity on, I actually, I don't actually want the 1%ers. I want that middle of the road, upper level income, nice people with a decent budget, like whatever it is that you've decided, because there's no right or wrong service lane, right? Like it doesn't matter. It's
individual.
Yeah. And don't say I want this, but message for that. And don't say messaging for that and be pissy that this isn't coming. Right. So the thing is, once we have that, we've done that deep work and that clarity. What are some next steps and best practices for getting the messaging tight?
Yeah. I first of all appreciate the question, but I appreciate this conversation in general so much, because I think in some ways in the design industry, we're in some ways not talking about marketing enough, and not establishing for designers some of the nuances of all of this enough, because I think designers tend to think, well, I need a logo and I need a website. But really they're talking about what they really need are things like brand identity and brand messaging and marketing copy and PR. And these things are all different. And there's all different specializations that are involved. And they're all, by the way, real professional jobs behind them. So to the point of like not DIYing it, there's a reason for that, right? And I will also say, you were talking about Melissa Fields earlier. She hired me. Go look at her site.
Good.
It's night and day.
Good.
And she's getting amazing clients.
I didn't know that.
Yes. A lot more than just 5 areas where there were conflicts. A lot more.
Right. It was crazy. I was just like, okay, I'm out because this is just a ping pong game.
But she's not an outlier. Melissa that's common.
It's
and
totally
that's another reason.
normal.
That's another reason for taking a journey of brand identity and getting your visuals and getting your website functionality professionally done and getting your messaging and your copy. And, and I do want to say and sort of normalize, I understand the bootstrapping and the DIYing of it all. We're doing that because we're business owners and we got to start somewhere. And I get it.
Totally.
But as soon as you can afford, there is a tendency to sort of put these marketing pieces as fluff. And I really don't need a professional to do it because my brother-in-law knows a guy who used to write screenplays. Like, true story. Like,
I mean, at least somebody would say, I'm going to have ChatGPT do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, which I'm not in favor of, but I'm just saying.
And I mean, even that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later too, because I think it's relevant as well. But just to say that, like,
that was so specific. It feels like when it happened.
Well, because it happened.
I believe her.
I mean, again, like, I get it. We can't all pay for all the things that we need in our businesses. I can't either. But don't discount the idea that to get you clients, the right clients in your door so you can afford more things, is a professional level, expert level effort.
Yeah.
So now back to your question.
So hang on, because I just want to comment on that. Keep your answer, because this I have to emphasize.
Okay.
I have said this before. Most designers come with a passion. Like, they either design their own home and everybody in the neighborhood went, my God, you're amazing. Or they grew up moving their furniture around in their bedroom, in their mother's living room every 20 seconds, every Saturday morning, and then went to the formal path to design through education. I don't care how you get there. All of them arrive there because they love it. Okay. And the thing about it is to me, you could be, the analogy that I've often made is, you could be the person that was cooking at your mother's knee or your father's knee all through your childhood. Every single time there's a family gathering, you were the one that wanted to cook the this and that and the other thing. Then you got married and you were the house that everybody ate at, and, you were the one that fed the neighborhood and all the family gatherings. And then finally somebody said, you're so good at this. You should open a restaurant. And you get to the point in your life, you're like, yeah, man, I make the best braciole. I make the best pasta basil. Like, I am the bomb. But you know what? When you go open that restaurant, what do you have to do?
Business.
You have to have many investment. You need tables. You need chairs. You need ovens. You need tomatoes. You need cannellini beans. You need this stuff. You have to take a chunk of money or you have to borrow it. But an interior designer with the same passion, same skills, same level of all the things, but it's like, hey, I got business cards. I'm in business. Oh, and now let me paddle together this website made by the screenwriter. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no. And the other story that it brings to my mind is that when we started Window Works in 1982, Vinny went 18 months without taking a paycheck. I got paid. The installer got paid. The person who answered the phone got paid. But you know what his money went to? Marketing. He was like, you know what? I got 2 other businesses. I got a full-time job. My bills are paid. The amount of money that I should have made in this business this year is going 100% to marketing. And so I am with you. Hire listen, wait to get a bookkeeper if you got to figure something out. Like, and I'm not in favor of waiting to get a bookkeeper unless you got, like, that's who, if your dad's really good at money, do that for free for 6 months, because he probably can add and subtract, but he probably can't make a website.
Correct.
Nicole here. Oh, I'm sorry. Just to say, I think it's good to ask yourself, like, how many clients do you need to get return on investment for hiring Debbie for copywriting? How many clients do you need? Is it way less than one?
Right.
Like,
that's okay.
Right. So I just really want to emphasize that point, because I appreciate that you can decide on Monday at 9:00 in the morning to be a designer, and at 9:01 you can be, if you have the chops. I'm not making any statements about your talent. That, I don't think you're born with it. I think you cultivate it. I think you grow it. I think you can get educated. I'm talking about once you have arrived at, I have the ability to be a designer, then I think that the industry does a disservice by having a path. Like, and there's nothing the industry can do about it. You do yourself a disservice by not understanding. Many people have asked me, this podcast, how did you make it so da? Well, you know what? The first year I have the Excel spreadsheet. I could pull it up. We spent over $90,000 the first year to launch a free thing. It's free to do a podcast, for crying out loud. You buy a $40 microphone, you edit the damn thing yourself, you stick it on the air, you're in business. But no, we spent $90K, you see? And what did I do? I created a business that had a focus, it had a mission, it had a vision, it had values, it knew what it was doing, it had a job to do. So I love you, Deb, for bringing that up. Now I'll let you answer your question.
Super important. And we could probably go on about that alone for a while. I know Nicole and I have talked about it. Eb and I have talked about it. You and I have talked, it's a thing. And just to say too, the litmus test for whether or not you should DIY your brand and your website is not, can you use Canva and ChatGPT and, Squarespace? That's not the litmus test. The litmus test is, do you know exactly how to get to your ideal clients? Do you know exactly what to do with that website and the words to put on it to get there? And even I would get as specific as to say, do you know what an H1 and H2 setting are? And do you know how to use them and why?
Right.
If you don't know those things, you need us.
And Nicole said too, proper graphic design principles. It's not the same as space planning with a sofa. It's another skill set. You can know proportion and scale. You can know what's pretty, but do you know subconsciously how you've set up a page is affecting that consumer? It's, by the way, the same argument that every designer will make with a consumer that thinks that they can make just as pretty of a room.
Right. Not to mention, there's what Ebony said earlier, and this is Deb again, sorry, that there's a perspective problem. And we all have it as business owners, that we're so close to what we do that it can be very difficult, or if not impossible, to figure out, okay, what do we need to say? How does this need to look to resonate with those ideal clients, or even who is our ideal clients? Because again, Nicole was talking about this earlier, niching down to your exact ideal clients is one of the scariest things that an interior designer can do. And they resist it because it's oh no, but these people might want to hire me, so I don't want to scare them away. Niching is scaring certain people away. So that's a whole effort in and of itself.
Yeah.
So it's a whole thing.
I just appreciate that perspective so much. And it's the thing about it is that whole outside looking in, you've got all touched on that. Look, I love all of you ladies. You know that. Nicole, is the one who does all of my things personally. And, it doesn't matter whether it's a formal meeting and we're building a new thing or whatever, and her perspective is coming in, or it's the Voxer. And I can't tell you the number of times I'm this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I'm going to say this, or I'm going to do that, or we should do that. And she'll be like, are you though, really? Is that really what you want to say?
It happened yesterday.
Right? And it's that outside. And what I love and appreciate, and I know you all have this ability to do it as well, is she doesn't just say no. It's here's the effect of this. Here's the effect of this. And usually somewhere there is, and what is the goal here? Like, where are we trying? Like, tell me where you want to go because, blah, blah, blah. So I do really think that it is that professional who lives and breathes and does it is a different thing. Okay. So tips for messaging, and then we're going to move into SEO on how to drive everything home.
Yeah. So, I mean, the clarity on where to start, figuring out your brand identity and then into messaging. I mean, they're in some ways two different things, but it's a Venn diagram. They flow into one another a little bit. And I would say, I kind of view the brand identity as a little bit more of an internal compass and some decisions about, okay, where are we going with this? And sort of the beginnings of like who we are, who are we, signaling to, and how are we doing that visually? That involves a lot of that. And then getting into brand messaging, you're creating your megaphone with messaging. So you're creating a way to project who you are and what you do, and to amplify that out into the world. So for that, at least my approach is going deeper and wider than the brand identity and getting into, okay, what does the client value about what you do? How do you talk about your work in a way that signals, and Nicole was saying some of this too, like, no, you don't say outright, I'm fun, or I work with, single women, whatever. Sometimes you're just making mention of something. Sometimes you are implying, and it's kind of a subliminal message. And sometimes you're demonstrating, as Nicole was saying. So it's figuring all of that out, all of those aspects out in every area of your business.
Yeah.
For your services and how you talk about them, your process and how you talk about that, your aesthetic and how you talk about that, who you are and what your qualifications are, why you're the right designer for your ideal clients, and even who your ideal clients are. So there's some signaling going on too. And this is a little bit what you're saying about Melissa Fields. Like, are you looking for the person who wants collaboration, or are you looking for the person who wants, done and dusted and turnkey kind of stuff? So you're signaling what you're trying to bring in.
Yeah.
So, and some of that is even hierarchy of messaging. What do you say, where, and when? What comes first? What comes next? What goes last? So it's a crap ton of decision making.
Yeah.
I would say,
and that's what it is. It's like if somebody, like, for me, of all the professionals that a designer resists to hire, I have no patience and no understanding on the professional website developer and the brand strategist, because it is so exactly, to me, the same journey that a designer takes a client on. Literally everything you just said. It would be somebody explaining, like if I said, why should somebody use a professional designer? Well, you see, it isn't just the sofa. It's the sofa that goes with the lamp. It isn't just the lamp. It's like, what are the lumens of the lamp? It isn't just the lamp. It's like, what other lighting's in the room? It isn't just the lighting in the room. Is it task lighting? Is it big lighting? Is it this? It isn't just the paint color. It's the paint color and how it reflects with the rug. Like, literally everything is connected, and a consumer just goes shopping and puts a lamp, a rug, and everything in, and then they wonder why the room doesn't look good. But yet, as designers, you think, to your point, get a Squarespace site, do a this, do a that, and just plop it all in, and it'll probably work. So anyway, I appreciate that perspective on it. Now, the thing is, obviously, we have each of your previous episodes where we've gone much further into brand messaging and to copywriting and all of the things. So we're going to link those in the show notes. We're kind of overviewing here. But if we have our brand identity on lock, we have our ideal client on lock, we've created a beautiful professional website, and we've paid the dollar bills, and we know it's done right, then we've got all our messaging down. Then we got to get eyeballs on it, right, Ebony? And now we got to drive SEO to it. So, this is a conundrum, SEO, because I'm just going to tell you, it is hard to find a ethical, legitimate SEO person. I'm just going to say it in plain English. I've got multiple businesses and, there are more out there that are smoke and mirrors, in my opinion, than are legit. Yeah. So, to me, the thing about SEO is it's like taking your car to the mechanic. My brakes feel funny. And the next thing you know, the phone call comes 3 hours later. Well, the brakes do need to be replaced, but you need rotors and you need a this and you need a that. And you're just like, but do I really? And you don't have any way of knowing. And so when the SEO person tells you this and charges you money and it doesn't work, they're like, well, you didn't give it enough time. Well, you put your brakes too hard. That you got to do it this way. So what's our best practices in SEO, Ed?
So this is a mistake that people they make, right? They'll come and say, I need SEO, but they didn't do the branding, identity, they didn't do the messaging. So the SEO person is going to ask them, okay, so what do you want to be known for? Because SEO means search engine optimization. You are trying to put in words, phrases on your website so that the machine, algorithm, whatever, can pick that up. The machine can't feel what they don't see, the data, right? So the best practices in simple terms is that you want to use words and phrases on your website and in your copy that reflects what your clients are actually asking you. That's as simple as it is, right? What are they asking you? How do I design my bedroom? How do I design this? Take exactly what they say and put it on your site. Now, of course, the copywriter and the visual person, the branding person is going to make it look beautiful to have the pictures reflect that. But then behind the scenes, technically, we're going to put those words and the alt tags, right? That's the technical aspect. So the best practice is talk like your clients are talking to you, because that's how they talk it on Google. Yeah. And now, even with ChatGPT, that's how they are asking the same questions. There's just the AI is just making it faster.
Right.
That's all. So in layman's terms, talk like your clients are talking to you. And so a mistake that people make is that we start to get ultra professional. I have this
like you guys when you all said hello today,
we were
right?
Hello, how are you? We're fine.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for inviting me. It's something that I think you start to switch. Then when you're when I'm on a call with a client, I'm just super laid back because I've just relaxed. And so sometimes it's well, how do we translate that on the website? And so that's why you do need the separate set of eyes.
Yeah.
Because I've done it too. Web designers, we've done it, or strategists, we've done it. And it's my clients don't talk like that.
Yeah.
They talk some are uber professional, and then some they use slang. Especially if I'm working with people from I shouldn't say from the South, but we all have our own slang.
Yes.
That we use. And so they're going to connect with you on that. So that's the first tip.
Okay. Now, go ahead.
Okay, so the second one is the analogy about trusting the car mechanic. So that is actually a really good analogy with trusting people with SEO, because you hear about all these people that scam. I've heard scammers, SEO, web designers, interior designers. No one wants to be scammed, so everyone is scared, right? And so the thing that you want to ask the question, if you're hiring a person to do SEO, is say, have you done it for my industry? And I started asking the question to the people, because Nicole, I had bad traffic. I was getting a lot of traffic. I was getting a million confession. I was getting a million people coming to my site. I was so excited. It stroked my ego, but it was the wrong traffic. And that's when I started getting into
shoemaker's kid had to redo, right?
Well, no, actually, that was before I was in SEO. I was doing web design, and I like it to look pretty. But when I started getting these wrong traffic, I asked a friend who was the SEO. She's a technical person. Yeah. And I was like, I got all these visitors. I got I had 1 million visitors coming to my site. That's what the data said. But I was like, what is happening? And she's like, girl, you saying the wrong thing. This is not what you want. And so during the pandemic, it was an epiphany for me, because I had nowhere to go. I started studying SEO. Neil Patel, you heard of him? Neil Patel.
Oh yeah.
Okay, he is the OG of SEO. Okay, all of us, we went to the Neil Patel school, right?
Right.
And I learned so much, and that's when I started changing my site So I learned SEO by doing it. It is not pretty work. It is behind the scenes. It's not sexy. It's not fun unless you're like nerdy like that. But you understand what I'm saying. And so that was an epiphany, like, oh, I need to update these things that no one sees. And then I started offering it because that's what the clients, they needed it.
Yeah.
Most people, we need it because that's just where Google was going. And this is before ChatGPT. That leads me to the original question of the things that you need to ask a person who's going to help you with SEO. If they say they do SEO, you need to ask them, have you had experience with my industry? Because if they're a generalist SEO, like a general mechanic, yeah, they know how to fix your car. They know how to put the words on the website. But when you're specializing, when that SEO expert specializes in interior design, or they understand construction or all of those things surrounding, they're going to be able to better understand the words that you need to use.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. It's like if I got a Maserati, I'm not going to the corner mechanic.
No, you're
I
not.
need specialized knowledge and service of this, highly detailed, high performing engine. And I would argue that probably 90% of interior designers are trying to attract the industry by default is a specific industry.
It is.
Right? Like we don't want the DIYer, so we have to talk in the way that we don't have a Maserati guy walk into the Exxon and say, can you fix my car? We got to, the website and the language and the SEO has to express and attract the person who wants the specialist.
Yes.
Even more than that, Deb, here real quick, not to interrupt you, Ebony, but I just want to tell a story about a designer that I know, a client of mine who used a generalist SEO person before he came to me. And they were telling him he needed to like buy backlinks and that kind of thing, because he had said to them what I think any interior designer would say, not knowing, going to an SEO specialist, I want to be number one in interior designer rankings for my area. And his area happened to be like a major city. SEO person who didn't understand interior design went, okay, how do I get you there through SEO? Well, we jumped through all these different hoops. And one of them is we purchased some reputable backlinks. But what you and what all of us here know is no self-respecting interior designer would ever want to appear on random AI blog having some quote, and hundreds of random awful blog with awful images, and have your name associated as the interior designer with whatever, that is just computer generated. You don't want that. What you want is the genuine PR from the magazines and that kind of thing. Those kind of press backlinks.
Right. So what you're saying is from a technical standpoint, is that when the design professional goes to an outside industry SEO specialist, to Ebony's point, when you ask for a deliverable, it can be delivered.
Correct.
But there isn't through the filter of, is this how you want to be presented, right?
Correct.
Right.
Nicole here. Yeah. And also, I mean, industry totally, but then also there are these terms in SEO: black hat, white hat, gray hat, and things like that. So, for example, like Google, you used to be able to rank back in like I don't know, the teens, by putting literally white text on white background with keywords in it. And this is the kind of thing that like eventually, doesn't take long, Google catches up with that nonsense. And so buying spammy backlinks falls into that sort of category where like maybe it works, but it actually probably doesn't. And one of the things that we do when we're performing SEO services is disavow spammy backlinks. If we were to take over that account, we would need to literally disavow. We would have to go to Google through their platform and say, we want nothing to do. This is embarrassing. We want nothing to do with these. Ew. I'm so sorry, Mr. Google. I'm so sorry, Mr. Google.
Want you to find these
Yeah. So you have to disavow them. So that kind of thing, it can literally hurt you.
Yes.
So to kind of bring it back, Ebony here, it's one of those things. If someone tells you to buy backlinks, it's the equivalent of someone telling you to buy followers.
Yeah.
You don't do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a fake audience. It's not
Yes.
it's not real. And so there's some real thing. I've never bought backlinks. When you do think, and that's why I always mention Neil Patel. He is the OG. You want to go to like the experts that tell you, like they always keep up to date on the SEO. Like, you know.
But again, I just have to interject here. You guys go to Neil Patel and we'll go to you.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you come to me.
No,
okay, good
I'm
point.
not encouraging anybody to learn SEO, Ebony. I'm trying to get my people to get it done right.
Okay,
yeah, and we have to filter.
They don't want to learn
we're filtering
it's
it.
Not easy.
It's not easy
for the industry.
For the industry. So you're right. They're
Yeah.
not going to go to Neil Patel like us or whatever. But I think it's the same
I'm
thing.
teasing you. You're referencing the guru. I understand.
Here's the thing, and when I work with interior designers, they question because when they're on the customer side, the interior designer is the customer at this point, and they're going to question, are you sure? Can I trust you? Do you know what you're talking about? And just like people do with their designs, their house, if they're doing residential, why do I need to buy a $30,000 couch? I don't know, but the interior designer's like, it's the feng shui of the room. So it's like, but why? What
also, it's a sofa.
It's a sofa.
I was going to say.
It's a life. So I think what it is that you have to be smart enough to ask questions and not go for the quick fix. And so what happens is, because a designer, everybody wants to be number one. You can't be number one. You have to be number 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody can't be number one. And so I would say to the designers listening to this, you have to exercise patience, use this is where the business mindset comes. If it's a quick fix and fast result, question it with all you got. If someone says I can get you to the top of Google, you need to question that. But the problem is that realistically, some people are greedy and they want things fast, because now you can click, I can get this quick, but quick results is not sustainable. But if you want sustainable results, and the people who do want those quick fixes, they probably don't. It's hard for us to work with them. I'm not going to work with them anyway, because it's like, this is not a thing. Right. But the ones who want to build a serious business that's sustainable over time and get the right people, they need to ask those questions. Who have you worked with? What results have you gotten? Can you show me some results? You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, and it's not just
good advice.
Yeah,
it's good advice. The room isn't going to come together in a week, sweetie. It's going to take 6 or 8 months or 2 years to build your house. Get over it.
Yes, and
you're going to do it right.
And I will say this: that time that I did get all of that traffic, I was writing blogs. That was not overnight. I was writing a specific blog post around a specific message. It took time. By the time we got to the million, I was writing about a specific topic. And so here's this is a mistake that some designers make. When they hear the word blogging, they're like, that's a lot of work. I don't want to do that. All I got to do is put my pictures up. And it's like, you are an online magazine. People are coming to see the story behind what you're doing. And so Google, because we're saying, there's other search engines, but Google is the king, right? Google cares about content, and content has words, and words has to be things that people in your audience are searching for. So going back to
say it louder for the people in the back. Deb, by the way.
It has to be what people are searching for. So if you are, if your clientele is what you say, the luxury clientele. Oh, actually, I met someone who's a designer. His clients were all lawyers who live in a certain neighborhood.
That's pretty bold.
Well, I won't say their names, but they were at High Point Market, and I'm listening to all people on the panels, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds like a beautiful blog post about and that's how my brain is wired. I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, they could write a post about the experience of designing their this home for this lawyer, and that's who has their budgets. And so that is SEO. Search is optimized for search because you're writing about things that your client is going to look at. Now, the other mistake that people make or designers make is that they say, well, my clients they don't Google. And I'm like, they don't what? You ever heard that? My clients are not on the internet. My clients are not on Instagram. They're just high level. And I'm like,
your face.
I don't know if you guys have gotten that, but I'm just like, so you mean to tell the president of the United States is on the internet? Like, get out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people tell me, like, my clients are so elevated, they're not on the internet, so I don't even know what matter. And I was just like...
And here's the thing. I would argue, I would ask you, not argue. I would ask, though. I would say that could possibly be true, but we're talking about for literally the 1%ers. Like, I could see that a 1%er... I'm talking multiple million. I'm like, we're going to Paris shopping for antiques this weekend. Hop in the jet, sweetie. Let's go. I'm talking that person. I could see that person possibly not first or second level vetting, finding it out from the internet. Like, that's, you know, Thurston Howell the third and Lovey, right? Going, well, only. Who, you know, Lovey, who should we get to do? Right? Like Gilligan's Island,
yeah.
like who, Lovey, should we have do our internet? And she's like, well, Thurston, when we get on the yacht next weekend, we'll ask Sally who she had, right? Like, I can see that.
There are privacy. I mean, it's...
But that's like 1% of the people,
but I'm like,
right?
Oprah is rich. And she's on there. So that's my thing. When they ask that, when they say that, I'm like, I just read a series of articles about Jeff Bezos and Oprah having her magazine on the internet. So if your brand is as big as Oprah, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and their businesses, and so I talked to them from that standpoint to say, like, these businesses understand the value of people searching, and so they're providing content that people and their demographic that they're trying to reach want to see. And so if you talk to your people on your site, you know, around using terms that they use and the storytelling and stuff like that, and of course an SEO expert who also will encourage this will help you craft a campaign, because SEO is really just another way of marketing. Okay.
Yeah.
Craft a campaign that you can use on your site to draw the right traffic. And so I started switching my messaging, and like you said, turning that ship around. And then I started getting the people that I really wanted. And it takes some time to do that. It's not quick fix. You get a different type of client.
So just to kind of tie that thing back in a bow there for a moment, that one point. And Nicole, I want you to check me on it, because what I'm hearing is, look, I'm going to say, listen, there are 1% of the designers out of the 80,000 in the US only, plus all the international designers listening. There's not only 1% of the people that are probably not Googling interior designer Bali, okay? But there's only 1% of the designers that are actually servicing those elite, super, ultra elite clients. But I think it reminds me of what you said in the beginning. It's like, if that's my lane and those are my people, maybe they're not going to find me by Google, but when they actually finally do come to my website because, you know, Lovey asked Sally and Sally said, go to Susie, the designer, she is going to sit there on her lounge on the deck of the yacht and go to your website. Yes. And that's when I know you said it in the beginning of the conversation, is if you have to know the markers for how to build in that stupid ultra luxury experience into the website. So it's two different things, right? Nicole, like, are you?
There are definitely, I would say, many circumstances where, like, we've had it both ways. We have many high-end clients who have gotten, 75% of their work comes through Google, like big projects, huge minimums, like upscale clients. And then we have other clients who they enter into circles of influence, and that is how they drive the traffic, because it is about referrals in that particular circle of influence. And they are not Googling it, and no, they're not on Instagram because that's just not the nature of things. And so to your point, like, yes, we need to make sure that you are getting that phone call when they do check the website to look at your portfolio, not in spite of the website, they're not like getting over it because it looks weird, but because of it. It is helping, not hindering.
It's the confirmation of what Sally's recommendation is. Okay, so I want to ask a final question, and because I didn't give it the question to you ahead of time.
No.
I'm going to start with Deb because I think you can give us a specific, and then, Nicole and Ebony, you can think in the background on what you'll use as an example.
Why am I first?
Well, because yours is going to be easy.
Okay.
Yours is going to be easy because my question now is, without, a 20-minute dissertation on it, but go through your brain. And Deb, I want you to use Melissa as an example.
Okay.
So you've got the cheat sheet. Go through your brain and think about, in this question, Deb, you're going to talk about the 1 or 2 or 3 major points in messaging before and after on with specifics for Melissa, because I'm so thrilled to find out after we had our on-air strategy session.
Please look at her site. Really
took it to heart, and you're saying, and so I want the before and after, what was happening before and the results. Yeah. And then Nicole, and Ebony, you could think about something in your lane, Nicole, on branding, somebody that totally missed their superpower, however you want to interpret it. And Ebony, like a success story in a before and after on a completely, lost site that with SEO and the proper blogging or alt tags or whatever it is. So, Deb, we all, whoever hasn't heard the episode will have to go back and listen to the episode, Melissa. But I'm not only glad to know that she hired you, but also curious to know the results of it. So, what was some of the wins that were for Melissa?
Yeah, I mean, so many. First of all, she's perfectly delightful and coachable, which is one of the biggest things too. Like, you have to be able to receive the expertise that's being given you when you're working with someone like us. But so one of the things that comes to mind was more about her positioning, and it wasn't directly in the copy, but it affected some of the signals that we sent. And it was that in digging through kind of her brain and everything that was happening in her business, we figured out that her desire to help everyone, which that is also common, right?
That's
with designers, you're nodding, you hear it all the time, Luann. And the nature of a service provider person, we want to help. She was getting a lot of meetings with people who were in homes that the value of the home wasn't commensurate with her design fees. It didn't make sense for the people with that value of home to spend that much money on the home.
Right.
So I just did a little math and said, Melissa, ma'am, my dear, you need to not be speaking to anyone whose home is less than X amount.
Yeah.
And painful to hear in some respects, right? Because we want to help everyone. We want design to be inclusive, and there's a place for that. And maybe there's business, ways to create your business to facilitate that. But the direction she was taking her business and her business model needed a certain level of fee. You can't get that level of fee at a home that's $350,000.
Right. They're not going to spend $350,000 on design fees and furniture budget for a house that's worth $3.
It wouldn't make sense.
It's illogical, right? It's just illogical. Forget if they can afford it. It's illogical.
It's illogical. These people wanted what she had, but they knew it was illogical, and she wasn't understanding what that disconnect was. And in me pointing that out, she changed how she showed up differently. She changed where she showed up differently. She immediately, even before we created new copy, she immediately landed a big job.
Wow.
So that's one huge one. And then the other that you talked about is the collaborative. And typically, I almost never, ever allow the word collaborative on a website. Occasionally, it's actually true, and there's a reason for it, but most often not. The other one was, though, Melissa had a lot of past testimonials, client testimonials. They were mentioning, wow, she really stayed within our budget.
Yes.
And she really stuck to our tight
brought up
timeline.
The testimonials, and she was, we did it together, and it was so, and I'm just like,
no.
girl.
No, we took all of that stuff out of there. We kept all the good sound bites. Melissa's amazing, so talented, blah, blah, blah. But we take out any mention of budget, timeline. That is a signal to attract more of that. right?
Good.
So those are just two big things that we did.
Love it.
And that's not even the copy.
Yeah, right. I'm so glad. I'm literally personally thrilled because, she has good heart, good soul, good experience in the thing. It just, like she just said, I'm not getting the jobs. I'm not, and when I get the job, it fizzles out halfway through. They don't complete,
Correct.
So I'm glad that she took your advice. Okay. Ebony, SEO, like give us a before and after story of somebody that came to you with a situation, a challenge, and within, some clarity and tweaks, how did you change?
Okay. So I'll give a recent example. The person had worked with the organization out in California. They had no SEO, meaning that everything was just kind of all over the place. And so what we did was they already had their branding. They knew what the message, they were going to write the site themselves. Because they were writers. They were writers.
Oh.
And so what the before basically was this, right? We did the strategy session and I educated them on what SEO meant and what it was for their site. We restructured their site in a format that really represented the type of clients that they were working with. They work with a lot of nonprofit organizations and stuff like that, but it was not reflected. And so the images that we used, we did new images and updated all the alt tags so that Google can read that. Just so it sends a signal to the search engines. And then when I taught them how to write a blog post, they were already writers. And so I didn't want to, take that away from them, but I did teach them the H1, H2 and why that mattered. And for them, they were like, this is a light bulb moment. And so they wrote their blog post and their copy, and stuff like that. And we looked at it together. And so the before and after with the numbers, because it hasn't been a full year. This was a very recent project, was just that, even that education alone. Now this is
and that's a perfect example, right? Like it's like these are writers, but they don't write for SEO for blog posts. They can write a blog post, but like you're going to put that blog post in an essay book and somebody will pick it up. But if you want Google to find it, you got to write it in a certain format, right?
Way. So these people, they were writers for their particular industry and stuff like that. They had degrees that I don't have in writing, but I was like, SEO is technical a little bit. And so we just want to make it sound real. Now for the clients who want you to do everything, and I did everything for them, we saw an uptick in their traffic, but not just their traffic, but the right traffic. So with that in mind, after each blog post, because this is something that's very important too, is that we send them to a page, or we give them we give a call to action to say, not just read this post, but if you're interested, sign up. And so they saw an uptick of people signing up on the site. And then they told me, they're like, oh my goodness, I'm getting more people signing up for discovery calls. And so that's kind of how you can get the increase of traffic, but you also want the conversions. Does that make sense? It's like a marriage.
It definitely. Love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Nicole, how about like a misguided, lost designer who had no idea what their identity was, and you helped them find their superpower? Is there a story there? Or a different type of transformative story?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm just thinking of a recent launch that we have, which was Beth Krupa Interiors.
Oh, I love Beth.
Yeah, she's great, right? She's great. And I would not call Beth misguided.
No.
Not right.
Seasoned.
Couldn't say
smart.
Extremely seasoned, which is why it was a good thing to get her outsides to match her insides. Like Beth does not mess around. And the way things were when she hired us, the site felt a little bit, it was, clunky. It wasn't emphasizing the things that when we spoke with Beth in the brand discovery, were so clear around the extraordinary sourcing that they do. The fact that everything is one of a kind. They never use the same piece twice. Whoa. They just have a really special approach. They have a retail shop, and they were not, despite how seasoned and despite how long they've been in the area, and despite the fact that they have an actual physical, like a retail space, they were not showing up on the first page if you searched interior designer Greenwich, Connecticut. Whoa. So we addressed all of that. And so now if you go to bethkrupainteriors.com, you're going to find that, like it's beyond the expected is what you see when you for immersive, modern looking, the messaging is clear. And if you search Greenwich CT interior designer, she is high up on the first page now. And when I look, on the map results. So yeah, it was basically, it's all that she deserved,
Yeah, well, that's what I love about it. It's like not taking an unknown, unseasoned person who's trying to formulate, because you're also very good at that. You're also very good at, I remember the first time we did brand discovery when I was starting the podcast. The podcast was 2 months old and you're like, I need a website. And you're like, okay, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, I'm talking about business. You're like, man, I need a little more than that, sweetie. You know what I'm saying? How are you going to talk about it? I'm like, I don't know. Am I going to talk about it? I'm going to talk about it like me. You know what I mean? It was like,
I would never call you sweetie. I'd be terrified. Just for the record.
Yeah, right. But like the thing is that for anyone listening like us that also knows Beth, I love that example even more because I've known Beth many, many years since the beginning of the podcast, and she's smart and she does exceptional work. Mm-hmm. This is not like, hey, I'm not sure what to do in the industry, but to find out that somebody of that level of expertise in her industry and that level of being a smart business owner could really, to all of you have said at one point or another, you need somebody else looking at it, right? You need somebody else to say, wow, these are the things I heard you say. But to your point, Nicole, you're like, they're not showing up on the website.
You've won a million awards, and I want people to know that right away when they land, like all of it, all those little pieces. It's really just serving it up on a platter.
Okay, so final comment on that is yes, like a seasoned designer having that kind of a transformation, love it. And of course, even Melissa, I only met Melissa one time, but she wasn't brand new. If I remember, I think she was 8 or 10 years in business. So it wasn't like a brand new thing. It is the value, just as we always try to educate consumers on the value of having a professional interior designer. The whole point of this conversation is please do yourself the best favor, get your best leg up, do your best foot forward, and hire a professional to work with you on your website and your messaging and your copy and your branding, because it is the calling card. You can do 60, you can show up on Instagram or do whatever else you want to do. But when they go and look at your website, if it's, fakaked, like Nicole said, like it's over, it's done. And I've had that experience. I have that experience on the regular. Somebody will message me on Instagram. I will then go over to their Instagram handle. Okay, great. Your name isn't there. Okay. All right. Your state isn't there. Okay, great. Then I go to their website. Not there either. No face, no name, no location. And I'm just like, sweetie, how am I supposed to come over here and DM and have a conversation with you? You just poured your heart out to me. You love the podcast. You've gotten so much. I want to come back meaningful to you, but you're not a person out there. You're just a thingy, and I can't engage with a thingy. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I know, right? It's like,
that sounds good.
Right?
I can't engage with a thingy. Luann Nigara, 2025.
I love that.
I can. You know what it is? I can, but it doesn't feel meaningful. It doesn't. From my standpoint, I'm not able to take that conversation that you've just expressed some amazing sentiments to me and be a human back to you, because there's no human on the other side of it. Like, I'm just like, oh, thanks so much, unknown person with handle that says IG Interiors. Like, what is this?
Think how that feels for the client, if that's how it feels for you.
That's what I'm saying, right? That's the thing. It's like you're doing all of this other stuff, but you're missing the basic thing, right? It's like somebody going out and furnishing an entire home without a floor plan. Awesome. You have a home full of great stuff, but none of it works. Good for you, right? We get the frustration, right?
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
Please. This is Ebony. I was thinking about the car. I will never fix my car. We will always take it to a mechanic. But now with YouTube, I'm going to Google or search, like, what should I be looking for? And so that's how people are searching, and then they're going to find the professionals who who are knowing and doing and that they can trust. I will never fix my car, but I'm going to take it to, someone who refers me, and then if I know a little bit to ask for, and I hope
Right.
that this conversation they'll know what to ask for when
Yep.
they're looking for branding, copywriting, and SEO.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Ladies, we're an hour and 15 here. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your expertise. Of course, we're going to link in the show notes all of the other episodes that you've each been on. And thanks so much for I know each of you individually, and I know as passionate as interior designers are about their consumers having great, beautiful places and spaces, that's how each of you approach what you do for interior designers. And I know it firsthand from each of you. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Luann.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I got to start with a big thank you to Nicole, Heymer, Deb Mitchell, and Ebony Looney for sharing your wisdom with us. Each of you is undoubtedly a #smart lady, and I am always grateful for your insights. The biggest takeaway I want you to walk away with is a professional website is non-negotiable. You will never, ever, ever hear me say to you, yeah, you could do it yourself. It's fine. I'm just never going to say that. It's never something that I think should be done by you. I know a lot of you have done it yourself, but I'm just telling you, I am 100% opposed to this. The thing is, it's an expertise. These women have spent years understanding what it takes to go into it. And I just believe something that is so visible, something that is so critical to attracting your ideal client and then converting them cannot be a DIY job. I mean, I just don't know how else to say it, right? It is even more than attracting clients organically, right? Because you're asking your clients to invest in you, to trust you, and to spend a lot of money in their homes, right? And why would you do that? Why would they do it if you're not even investing in yourself, right? There's just for me, it's just a clear disconnect, right? So the one thing I want you to remember from today is luxury clients will expect a luxury experience on your website. If there's no other reason, then that's the one right there, okay? Now, Nicole pointed out that it doesn't mean you have to have all the bells and whistles. You don't have to have professionally edited videos or fancy animations or whatever you think a high-end website should or would have. But it absolutely, like she said, it must be well designed. And you probably don't have the ability to do that because well-designed room is not the same as a well-designed website, all right? It has to be aesthetically pleasing and it has to be flawless to navigate. Some of this is subconscious. The white space and the grid in those pieces on our website, they can lead a client directly through your website page after page where they want to know more, or it can stop them in their tracks. Right? It all plays into this experience that they have when they come to your website. You know this in room design. You have heard the many experts on the show in interior design say a well-designed room intuitively, instinctively feels right to the person in the room, whether they know why it's right or not. And that's exactly what Nicole is saying about your website design. Then we have the branding and messaging. Does your website speak to the right client? Are you talking to the ones that you want to serve, or are you mistakenly trying to speak to everyone, right? Are you focusing on the projects that you want to do? Are you highlighting those kinds of projects? Or are you talking about every project you've ever done from the beginning of time? Then another question in your marketing, your branding messaging is, are you being authentic? Right? Are you showing up as you? If you're a jeans and a flip-flops and a white t-shirt kind of girl, then I better not see you in a pair of heels and a suit, right? Like you got to be you because you're eventually going to show up at their home, okay? And are you answering the questions on their mind? These are all the things that you need to think about when you think about your copywriting and your messaging and your branding. Nicole and Deb's insights about the difference between telling, showing, and demonstrating was a great takeaway. You want to project your personality and the feeling that clients will have when they work with you. You want to talk to clients in the way that you will actually talk to them. Okay. But you can't always just come out and say it, just like you don't in a real shop at home appointment and a real consultation. You don't always just look at them and say, buy it from me, hire me, right? Right. So you have to create this tone and a guide so that the client can understand and feel that you get them, right? And then we finally have this balance between copywriting and your brand voice and not neglecting the SEO. Ebony simplified SEO down to talking like your clients talk. Okay, so that's an interesting thing, right? You have to really think about that. And this is a great place to start if you're doing it by yourself, even though I hope you're not. Okay, because there are so many. Here's the thing. You can't do SEO by yourself. Like, I'm actually going to tell you stop. All right. But if you are going to attempt making your own website, you do have to take her advice and make sure you are noticing the questions clients come to you with, and you are answering those in the website, in the copy, because that's typically, these are going to be the terms, the search terms that they're going to look for. All right. The thing is, though, there are a lot of technical SEO aspects that happen behind the scenes, and they all take time, and they take testing, and they take tweaking, and they typically take an expert. Just saying. So the great thing is when all of these components come together, they will attract and resonate with the people that you actually want to work with. And if you remember, I talked with Melissa Fields on an on-air coaching strategy session about 8 or 9, 10 months ago, right? And she really felt like she was doing everything right. She had spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, money on her website. But when she told me in her intake form the kind of work she wanted to do, and then told me the kind of clients that were always approaching her, and I read her website, and I'm not Nicole, Deb, or Ebony, it was even clear to me that she wasn't speaking to the audience she said she wanted to attract. She was positioning herself as a collaborative designer and then feeling frustrated when her clients wanted to be involved. I mean, she was including budget in her messaging and then attracting clients who couldn't afford her services. And I'm so glad to know from Deb today that Melissa reached out to Deb and that she did work with a professional to get things buttoned up. I encourage you to go back and listen to her on-air coaching session after this, because you might find yourself in some of those lessons that we had to work through. And here's the thing. The bottom line is, I know you have to pick and choose where you invest your money. I know it. But I truly believe that your website is not the place to cut corners. You are not an SEO expert. You are not a copywriter. You are not a professional website designer. And even if you're good at some of these things, you're very likely not great at all of them. And you very likely don't know which things to push, pull, go hard on, what to tweak, what to adjust if it's not working, right? There's a reason why we have professionals to build us websites and to do our copywriting and to help us with our SEO. So the thing is, I don't really care if you don't think you need to attract organic business because maybe you have an endless supply of referrals. I would argue that. If 90% of your business comes from Instagram, you don't think it matters? I would argue that. I really would. I don't care if those things are true. Your website still needs to be professional and provide a luxury experience, because ultimately, no matter where somebody hears about you, referral, Instagram, wherever it is, they're going to end up on your website, and they will judge what they see there. So I just say, wing it with your website at your own peril. Invest in it, on the other hand, as soon as you're able to. And if you've had a business for many years and it's been a hot minute since you have had it redone, you don't walk around with the same hairstyle from 20 years ago, right? You don't have the same wardrobe from 10 years ago, right? So your website needs to be updated too. And of course, there's new technologies. Nicole was recently on the podcast talking about AI and the way AI is searching our websites, and how her and these professionals like Deb and Ebony are adjusting what they do in website development to be AI friendly. So yeah, even if you had it professionally done, if it's time for a refresh, this is a great place to invest your marketing money. All right. Now, I know that these three rock stars covered a lot today, and we did take this conversation and turn it into a goodie for you, a little website checklist that you can start to figure out where you might need to put some more focus on your website. All right, go over to luannniagara.com/goodies to get your free download checklist. All right. I also have linked in the show notes, as I said, the previous episodes with these wonderful ladies, so that you can catch up on, really go a little deeper into each of their specialties. And I thank you ladies for showing up for me. I totally had a great time. Loved always the time I get to spend with the three of you. And thank you for showing up today. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Niagara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannniagara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.